Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I'm not gonna really show my face too often because if I have a little bit of a cold and I don't really want people seeing me wiping my nose off the time. So, anyways, as far as how this first week of the new year is going by, I would say it's pretty good. But as far as how I see things going with the state of things, with like the Trump presidency and all that, but then we have to kind of get used to seeing that sort of thing. And in a way, what a lot of those some of these Trump supporters would not tell you that there are some of them that actually hate him, but hate Hillary more than they hate him. And there are some of them that might have been former Bernie supporters. I was basically a Bernie supporter there in the primary there when, as far as that goes, and I was hoping that maybe he was going to get it once if he did well in my state's primary, which is California. And that didn't happen because as you could tell, like with one of my vlogs, as far as that goes, went after the California primary, how I was like visibly upset when that happened. So, anyways, as far as this sort of thing goes, that there was this one political science professor. I forgot his first name, but his last name was like Lichtman or something like that, but I forgot his name. He had predicted that Trump was going to win, but however, he most likely will get impeached. Whether or not if it has to do with the conflict of interest or possible fraud allegations or some other little things or something or involving with Russia and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and in a way that the GOP establishment wants to get rid of him the first chance they get because he's unpredictable, uncouth, and totally not the type to be president or anything. They just don't really like him that much. So, anyways. So as far as that goes, one of the things is that they pretty much are planning on trying to get rid of him there, and then who they want to replace as Trump would be either Mike Pence or Paul Ryan, because they're more establishment, and that both of them are more malleable to the whims of the establishment. But I think that what's going to happen in the midterms is that most likely the Democrats are going to pick up more seats because it's kind of like they're obligated to win more seats because of the fact that usually whoever wins the presidential election wins more seats and all that. And then it's usually in the midterm, it's always the opposition party that wins the elections there. Because it happened as far as that goes with Obama's first two midterms, especially 2010 and 2014. And it happened with Bush as far as his second midterm election. But not his first, but that was only because of 9/11, and it definitely did happen with Clinton as far as in '94, and I think it also happened with the first President Bush. But that didn't necessarily happen with Clinton in '98, because the thing was with Clinton, then he actually gained a couple of seats in the House, in '98, but it's one of those little things, and I'm guessing, as far as that goes, that there could also be a possibility that Trump could quit because of the fact that he part of it realizes just that being president is too hard to handle, that sort of stuff, and would not like the whole resistance from the Democrats and the Republicans as far as that goes, and then would just give up. Or just simply quit out of boredom, But that could be like the same reason, that he'll just get bored because he probably can't get anything there because of everybody's opposing him in every turn and all this sort of stuff or whatnot. Or it could also be the pressure could be way too great for him as far as having to deal with all the different countries and all this sort of stuff, and having to be on his best behavior, blah 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 blah, and then having any of these other people have to be on their best behavior, blah 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 blah. So it makes you kind of wonder what's going to really happen as far as in 2024, and whether or not, if he decides to run again, and then let alone if the Democrats Party have like some good person to counter him or as an alternative to him and all that sort. But a lot of times when the president comes up for re-election, they usually win re-election most of the time, unless there's something else in play, whether if it's like the economy or whether it's some other little controversy that the president gets embroiled in, and then they don't get reelected, I mean, the only one I can remember as far as the president not getting reelected in there is like the first President Bush. And that was back in like '92. Although I do remember the '88 election a little bit because I was in first grade at that time. And then as far as one that I could probably clearly remember would be like the '92 election, because I was already in I think it was because I was in 6th grade as far as when the actual election took place, and then I think I was 5th grade during the whole primary part of it. But as far as the '88 election, I think I don't really remember the primary part a whole lot because I was in 1st grade at that time. But in a way, I think I do remember bits and pieces of that one, as far as the '92 election. But I do remember the school had a mock election that year, and I think I pretty much had voted for Ross Perot that year during the school's mock election, but although I distinctly remember in the 92 election that my mom had voted for Perot, I think, in 92. And then my dad was going to vote for Bush, but I don't think I really remember as far as with the 96 election there, but I think it was one of my brothers had voted for Clinton, and then the other one had voted for Nader, and I think my mom had voted for Clinton, and then my dad, I think, had voted for Dole, I think, as far as that goes. And then as far as 2000, because I voted for Bush because I didn't care for Gore, and I think my mom didn't vote. I think my dad had voted for Bush, and I think one of my brothers had voted for Nader or something like that. I don't really remember. And then I think it was somebody else had. And I think one of my brothers might have voted for Nader in 04. And then I voted for Kerry in 04, and I think my mom had voted for Kerry in 04, and then my dad had voted for Bush in 04. And I think as far as 08, I think originally I supported Hillary in 08. And then I think I just simply had voted for Obama in 08 simply because I didn't like Palin. I think that's what it was. I didn't like Palin, and that if McCain had chose a better running mate, I probably would have voted for him instead of Obama. You know. And then in 2012, I voted for Obama, and as far as last year's election, it was like Clinton as far as that goes, even though I had voted for Bernie in the primary as far as that goes. I think I had voted for, because I think I voted for Hillary in the primary that in the 08 primary, and I think I did vote for Obama that year because he was running unopposed as far as that goes, you know. And as far as what's gonna really happen with 2020, and you know. But although as far as like with 2000, I think I didn't vote in the presidential primary because I think I forgot the date, or I think I wasn't even registered at the time. You know, and I think that's what it was, because in prior to like 04, it was like the primaries were in March, and then it was like around 04 that there was a really low voter turnout in the primary that year, and then somehow the primary had been moved to June. I don't know why they kept moving it to June, but it was like the explanation was because they have more people voting in the primary to have it if it was at a later date. But it just seems kind of strange now. It's like, here we are, like the largest state, and yet we vote last, you know, in the primary. You know, it should be a little bit more earlier at that time. But then the only other time that was like really earlier that year was like 08 when they managed to make like two primaries, you know, where it was like the presidential primary, and then there was the direct primary, and then the general election that year. And then it was switched back for some reason. I wonder if I wish they would move the primary a little bit earlier instead of just having it like that sort of thing, you know. But anyways, I think I've been talking too long, you know, and it's kind of time for me to end this video. So anyways, talk to you guys later.